Brian, great to see you.
Nice to see you, Piers.
Start with Succession. I've seen that you said that you kind of thought it was going to be a big hit because you could feel the quality of the scripts. But when it went as big as it did, have you ever experienced anything quite like that in your career?
The debut of the last season at the Royal Festival Hall, I walked on, being the eldest member, I walked on first, and the audience reaction was astonishing. And I actually thought somebody had come on behind me, like some kind of, like some Iggy Pop or somebody like that, or Mick Jagger had walked on behind me, and I turned around, there was nobody there, and I thought, this is weird.
Do you get a lot of people coming up simply wanting you to swear at them?
Absolutely, all the time. All the time. And of course, it's the easiest thing to say.
And do you do it?
Of course. Of course. I mean, there's nothing, I love it.
The great thing, I think, about you, Brian, is you said recently you've reached the age of mid-70s and you don't care anymore about saying what you think about things. And you talked about how when you were younger, you would temper your words, your opinions and stuff, but now you don't care. We're in a very odd place in society, I think, with this kind of cancel culture mentality. People walking around on eggshells, terrified of expressing opinions because they're getting fired, they're losing jobs, they're getting shamed and abused and vilified and so on. What do you make of where society's going and what do we do about it?
Well, it's a kind of modern-day McCarthyism, really. It's a kind of raid on people's sensibilities in order to kind of reduce them and make them, I don't know, there's so much hypocrisy involved with the whole thing. I mean, I find the whole thing completely hypocritical. Who is the one, there's a thing, I mean, I'm not religious, but there is a thing in the Bible when it says, let him without sin, or she without sin cast the first stone. And there seems to be a lot of casting of stones. And it's like a virus,
Well, Elon Musk calls it a woke virus.
Well, it is a virus.
And it feels to me like, what's ironic to me is the people doing it, they claim to be liberals. There's nothing liberal about it.
No, there's nothing.
It's the opposite. It's almost a form of fascism.
It is total fascism.
Yes, it is, isn't
You're
it?
absolutely right. It is total fascism. And people are behaving more and more in the kind of hypocritical... you see, it's hypocrisy again. The hypocritical notion of, I'm being liberal, but actually you are being fascist.
Yes.
And people should just stop it and behave themselves.
I completely agree. And again, the irony is fascism would be the one thing they would all say is the thing they hate most.
Exactly.
And they're trying to counter, but in fact, they're practicing it themselves.
Exactly, and you're absolutely right on that. I find it appalling, I really do.
When you see what happened to someone like J.K. Rowling, you spoke about, I think one of your kids brought you up to speed on what she'd said, and it was, women menstruate, for example. And you were like, well, I don't understand what all the fuss is about. And yet she was exposed to death threats and all sorts of attempts to cancel her and so on. Again, I just felt that everyone's losing their minds.
Well, I couldn't understand that whole thing at all. I thought, well, this is not an area I am not necessarily permitted to tread upon. But at the same time, I thought it was there was something deeply unjust about it. I just felt that, and and it's happening time and time again. And it's not only the people who are cancelled. It's also the people, like their families, like their children, like their parents, like their, it has such ramifications. It's it creates a sort of like an earthquake situation.
Yeah. On J.K. Rowling, she said, standing up for women's rights. We've got to a strange place again where politicians, Supreme Court nominees, are struggling to say what a woman is. They're too scared to say it's an adult female for fear of the mob.
But we've never examined... You see, the point is, we're beginning to examine things that we have never hitherto examined before, particularly the relationship between men and women, and particularly the sexual relationship between men and women, and how that relationship is operated. And it particularly affects young men and women, because they don't know how or what or how or should they express themselves in certain ways. And there's a kind of form of fascism because of knockdown effect where there are kids who just do not know how to approach one another now. And it's,
well, they're too scared in many cases.
Yeah, it's too scared, but it's also we're a lot to blame because we haven't attended to it. We haven't actually had schools of study about what those relationships are.
When you talk about study, I mean, I'm incredibly depressed by what's going on at university and colleges and campuses around the world, where you see, the New York Post did a piece about 5 professors who all got cancelled. And it's happening all over the place. So one of them was actually giving a lecture given for 20 years, where he talked about the usage of offensive language. And to illustrate this in the lecture, he said some offensive language. And he got cancelled because people didn't have the brain power to understand what he was doing.
Well, this is part of the virus. And it kind of, I don't know, it just makes people behave in the most idiotic, insensitive, and again, as I say, hypocritical way. You know, they feel one thing, but they practice something quite else.
What's the answer to it?
I don't know. I mean, we're in a very sad place at the moment, really. I think with what's going on both in Ukraine and what's been going on in America, especially in the last 7 years, you know, I mean, it's just been a very bad time. And we're so confused. We just don't know what to believe anymore because all our belief systems are falling apart. And so we're like vigilantes. We have vigilante belief groups, which is what I believe the whole woke culture is.
Yes.
It's a form of vigilante.
It is McCarthyite. I mean, it's exactly the same mentality, rooting people out for perceived indiscretions,
Exactly.
and then basically evaporating them from society.
That's right. And there's no, we go, why is the reason? And of course it's catching. I mean, it's catching. In my business, it catches because suddenly projects. I mean, Bill Murray the other day, and a wonderful, I mean, he made a remark, and it was taken in a way as being offensive. And the picture he was making was stop the whole thing. Now, Bill went on, I think it was CNN, and explained himself, I thought rather brilliantly, actually, saying, you know, it's about times that have changed. I lived and grew up in one time, and I'm meeting another time, and it's very hard to know how to approach that time. Where do we go? How do we come in? Where is the entryway to make a conversation or just make even a joke with one another?
Well, anyone can take offence at anything, and they can then weaponise the offence.
Exactly.
And that's where we've got to. And it's almost impossible to defend yourself because the court of public opinion passes verdict immediately.
That's right. And
let's turn to a happier thing.
Okay.
You went to Lambda. Well, you attended Lambda, the great drama school. My middle son went there. He's a young actor. And he remembered you going there and doing a Q&A speech. And he said the most memorable thing that you said was that you should always carry a picture of yourself as a child to remember to maintain childlike enthusiasm.
Exactly.
Do you do that yourself?
I do. I keep it on my phone. Hopefully it'll come up. There it is. And it just came up.
I think we've got it on... That's it. That's on your phone. You're showing me it here. And we've got it on screen. When you see that little boy... have you lived up to every dream that little boy had?
I have to say pretty much.
Have you?
I have, actually. I mean, I recognise the look. I recognise, and I'm constant. And the look is always different on every day. But today he's going, you know, it's not bad.
When you got to this stage, did you ever think you'd get to this stage of your life and your career and you would suddenly be in this monster hit? Brilliantly written, with amazing actors all around you.
Well,
and everywhere you're going, they think you're Mick Jagger. I mean, that's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I think, you know, I've been in this business now. Believe it or not, I have now entered the 7th decade of being in this business.
Amazing.
You know, and
is this the highlight for you?
Yeah.
It has to
no
be.
question. And it's sort of moved in that direction.
Yeah.
I mean, the map of my life has been really, I think, I mean, full of extraordinary tragedy and heartbreak, but really quite remarkable, and made me very respectful.
And how like Logan Roy are you in real life?
Well,
as a father.
As a father, I have certain difficulties. Because I didn't have a father. And I think that's something Logan Roy and I have in common. And the difference between Logan, we are both disappointed with the human experiment.
Yeah.
We are deeply disappointed with it. But I'm an optimist. I believe it will get better. He isn't.
Now, I've heard reports rumours that you may be thinking of going vegan. Is that right?
Well, I'm thinking of going plant life. I mean, the problem is I like the taste of hamburgers. I actually rather like that.
Well, here's my problem with it.
You know, there are some wonderful plant life hamburgers, and I couldn't tell the difference. My son got me.
Here's my problem. My problem, you talked about hypocrisy earlier. These are Percy pigs. Are you familiar with these?
I don't know.
So they took them vegetarian. They're now taking them vegan. And I've got to do this to show you what we do here. Play this. The world's gone nuts. Here's my problem. They're making these vegan Percy pigs, but they're pigs' heads.
Yeah.
Why would any vegan want to be seen eating a pig's head whilst claiming to be virtuous about animal cruelty?
Well, let me give you the scenario I would think. So he looks at this, or she looks at this, and she says, pig. Now, a pig is a vegan. A pig is a natural vegan. Pigs, they don't eat meat. They tend
Yeah, but you're still eating the pig's head.
Yes, but that's in respect of the pig.
Brian, I've got to leave it there. What a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
And thank you for fighting the cancel culture mob. We need more like you out there.